Good evening and welcome to today's webinar on education on a path to a holistic, inclusive, and multidisciplinary learning. On behalf of Craft World School, it's my privilege to invite the speakers, teachers, parents, and students to today's webinar. A school that follows Cambridge curriculum, a school with difference, a team that strongly believes in going beyond the classroom, a school that gives equal importance for the conservation of biodiversity, natural organic farming, and community welfare programs along with academics. A team of like-minded education enthusiasts who strongly advocate that learning becomes more enjoyable with a genuine love for education, parent participation, and some creativity. Craft World School is an innovative attempt to work with children to inspire them to become self-reliant learners, nurture their talents, and equip them with the skills and values that will empower them to become self-confident and well-rounded individuals. Craft World School provides every child access to a happy and welcoming community focused on learning in a stimulating and rich environment. Once a craftian, the students will walk out as a lifelong learner, having enjoyed an enriching and happy childhood. I'm Bindu Menon, PR and training consultant of Craft World School, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator for the session. Our panelists for the day are Dr. Saroj Thapa, Senior Education Consultant and Program Director, Pallavi Learning Systems, New Delhi. Mr. Chris Venugopal, founder, La Liberta, counseling psychologist, hypnotherapist, trainer, voice coach, author, and actor. Just a quick look at the agenda. We will start the session with a welcome speech, followed by an overview on the webinar topic, then to the speaker slot of 15 minutes each, followed by questions to the panel from the parents and other participants, then to panelists' feedback time, followed by vote of thanks and session wrap-up. Now may I invite Ms. Milna, teacher at Craft World School, to deliver the welcome address, please.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am. Good evening, respected guests, parents, and teachers. A hearty welcome and thank you for your presence in today's session, the third series of webinar conducted under Craft World School Knowledge Hub. The day's vital topic of discussion is education on the path of holistic, inclusive, and multidisciplinary learning, a path that widens the scope and aim to develop all capabilities and capacities of human beings, intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral aspects in an integrated manner, so that in future the term education be defined as a holistic development of a child by changing behavior throughout learning, which can be both in formal as well as informal way. In the panel, as Bindu ma'am said, we have with us Dr. Saroj Thapa ma'am, member of General Council of Rehabilitation Council of India, and also the member of Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development USA. Mr. Chris Venugopal sir, founder of La Liberta, counseling psychologist, hypnotherapist, trainer, voice coach, author, and actor. Advocate C.A. Majid sir, the managing trustee of the Craftwell School, and Miss Mridula Praveen ma'am, principal of Craftwell School. Miss Bindu Menon ma'am, our moderator, and all the parents present here. On behalf of the institution, I warmly welcome all of you once again to this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Milna. Over to the topic. Craft World Knowledge Series webinars are a great way for teachers, parents, and students to stay up to date with the latest development and to interact with subject matter experts. In this webinar on a path to holistic, inclusive, and multidisciplinary learning, we will take you through invaluable information on this need of the hour topic. Ever since independence, holistic individual development and education had been our aim. Holistic education implies holistic development of an individual in multiple disciplines. Swami Vivekananda's words of education, acting as a tool to achieve self-perfection. Gandhiji's Naithalim, which that means basic education for all, education for life and education through life. Dr. Radhakrishnan's views on converting information into wisdom. The conventional Gurukul system, we see holistic learning implemented at all levels. The day will see discussion on the innovative practices adopted by schools to ensure continuity of education at all levels and to all learners during these challenging times, and to widely disseminate the learnings pertaining to quality, inclusive practices, and sustainability. Let's remember T. Roosevelt's to educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. Over to the speaker slot, please. Now may I invite Ms. Dr. Saroj Thapa, Senior Education Consultant and Program Director, Parliament Learning Systems, New Delhi, to speak on the topic, the role of value education. Dr. Thapa, with an MPhil in history from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and a PhD in special education from the University of Geneva, Switzerland, comes with expertise in the area of school education and has devoted more than 30 years to teacher education, classroom teaching, special needs education, and inclusion. Ms. Thapa has worked as a teacher, teacher trainer, consultant, and a researcher in New Delhi, Bhutan, Dubai, Geneva, Beijing, Hong Kong, Washington, D.C., The Hague, Netherlands, and in Muscat, Oman. Ms. Thapa regards teacher education as the most important piece in the effort to transform education and to create truly inclusive schools. Dr. Thapa truly believes that education should be holistic in nature in order to create persons of substance and not just certify a certain level of academic achievement, which fetches lucrative jobs, and that the true aim of education should be to help every person become a better version of themselves. Dr. Thapa, please.
Thank you so much, Bindu. That was quite an introduction. I'm feeling very much at home here. It's as though I'm with kindred spirits. And it's like people who believe in similar values, people who believe in similar concepts. So thank you, Bindu, and thank you, Mridula, for inviting me. And thank you, Mr. Majid. It's through you that I got introduced to the school. And so here we are, it's like, it's a school that believes in holistic education. It's a school that believes in inclusive education. It's a school that believes in transdisciplinary education. It's a school that says no bells, no bags. It's a school that kind of gives students choices. And this is what we need. This is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been, trying to start in different places. And so that's why I said I feel as though I'm amongst kindred spirits. School that does this, as well as the parents who believe that it's not important if your children do not fetch high grades in the board exams, but it is important that they develop as a wholesome human being. And the children who are here and who are enjoying this kind of education, who have made this choice to be in this school, really, I'm very happy to meet you all. So the topic for today that's given to me is to talk about the importance of value education. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Of course, it's important, right? It is important. It is important because it gives us the moral compass to negotiate through the vagaries of life. I mean, today's life is very dangerous, very complicated, and you are faced with so many challenges every day. How do we make the right choice? If we have a good grounding in value education, that will help us navigate the challenges of life. But value education doesn't happen in isolation. That's where holistic education comes into play. And when we talk about holistic education, in fact, if you look at brochures advertising different schools, every school says holistic education. That's like a catchword, catchphrase. Everybody talks about holistic education. But what is holistic education? We talk about 21st century learning skills, right? 21st century skills. We talk about problem solving, critical thinking, leadership, communication. Everybody says we have to do this, but then that's not holistic. We are focusing only on learning as one kind of skill, which is basically the cerebral skills, learning how to learn. So you learn how to solve problems, you learn how to communicate, you learn how to be a critical thinker, etc. That's like still focused on more on academic side. How about the other aspects of holism? I mean, the pandemic has shown us very, very clearly that we can't just focus on academic side. We have to focus on the social, emotional growth of children. When the children couldn't go to school and had to be at home, even though the teachers are trying their best to give them the best education online, the children still suffered because they were not getting that social connect. They were not getting that emotional bonding with friends, with teachers, etc. So being at home in isolation really taught us the value of social relations, the value of being emotionally connected to friends, teachers, other colleagues, etc. So it is so important, right? That has shown us that it is so important to be able to develop socially and emotionally also equally well. Now you have a worldwide an emphasis on what is called SEL, social emotional learning. Dalai Lama, along with Emory College Emory College University in US, they've come up with this curriculum for SEL, and they are trying to promote it all over the world. And India also, there are quite a few schools that are doing it. I'm not promoting that, but I'm saying people are beginning to understand that social emotional learning is so important. So that's one side of it. Physical learning is also equally important, right? Physical development is equally important. We can't just be couch potatoes and sit there in front of our computers and just go on learning all cerebral things. But we have to be physically fit. Only if we are physically fit, then we can be mentally alert. Only if we are physically fit, then we are able to push ourselves for, have practice that rigor that is required even in academic learning. But it is required in life in general. Right? So you need to have cerebral development. You need to have social, emotional development. You need to have physical development. All these are important too. But the other aspect of holistic development, the fifth and the crucial aspect, is spiritual development. And by spiritual development, I do not by any means I'm not talking about religious development. I'm talking about spiritual development, that the ability to be able to decide what is right and what is wrong, to be able to make the right choices. And what helps us to make those right choices? When we realize who we are, when we realize how we are connected to everybody else, when we realize that we are just one pixel in this big picture that is the universe. We are just one little pixel, but all little pixels together make this big picture. And so when we realize what we do, if we spoil, if we actually corrupt ourselves, then it spoils the whole picture. If we make ourselves fit, if we make ourselves correct for that, the jigsaw puzzle kind of thing, that completes the picture and adds beauty and adds value to the whole picture. So if we realize this interconnectedness of ourselves with everybody else, people, nature, environment, everything that happens around us. And as the Buddhists like to say, all sentient beings. When we think about that, and then we realize that we are not alone. We can't just do whatever we want to. We have to have some sort of moral restraint, self-restraint, and self-regulation, so that we can contribute not just for our own development, but for the development of the community, of the society, of the nation, of the humanity, right? So these are the 5 areas that I feel are very, very important when we talk about holistic education. So cerebral, social, emotional, physical, as well as spiritual. And when we can do that, when we can focus on all 5, then we don't need to do value education separately. It comes from within. It just happens automatically because you are academically sound, you are socially connected, you are emotionally strong and resilient, you are physically fit, and you have that spiritual connect with everybody else. So that is holistic education. And although, as I said, all schools profess to have holistic education, there are very few schools that actually practice it. And I'm very happy to hear and to see through your website that the Craft World School is actually doing that, because it is important, right? Why is it important? Because we have to create people who can make right choices. We have to develop these young students of ours into the future leaders, the future citizens, the future stakeholders in this world, who have the right kind of values, who can then lead. Now, again, when we talk about leadership, we have these programs, young leaders program, and you have to do this training, that training. Leadership, before we can lead others, we have to lead ourselves. We have to be able to say, hey, I need to do this. This is how I do it. That self-direction, that comes from this holistic education, where you're looking within and you're looking at your own emotional state, you're looking at own spiritual development, and you are saying, I need to do this. You lead yourself, you lead inward before you can be a leader outside. So this kind of looking inside, looking within, introspection, reflection, these are extremely important qualities that we need to have in today's world. Because only, if you're only looking outside and we want to follow this one, and we want to follow that thought, we want to follow this leadership, etc., we just go out without having that grounding ourselves. So to be well-grounded individuals, we need to know ourselves. So before we lead out, we need to lead inward. We need to lead ourselves. So this kind of holistic education, which makes you sit, which makes you think, which makes you reflect, which makes you wonder about what kind of person I want to be, and how will I become that kind of person. That is what is most important, and that is what is needed. And therefore, value education just follows from that. It just comes. You don't have to have moral science lessons. We were young in the convent education, we always had one period which was called moral science. And we all went into the class, we all learned about what are the good behavior, bad behavior, what one was supposed to do, etc. And we learned that, we wrote the exam, we got good grades, we came out of the class and we forgot about it. So it's not about learning, it's not about knowing, it's about imbibing those values, it's about practicing those values, it's about using it in your everyday life. So if we are talking about environment, climate change, so much is happening. So many people are talking about how we've acted irresponsibly, how we need to change. We all say, yeah, we need to do this. Are we doing it? Are we doing it when nobody's watching? Are we practicing it when there is no reward for doing it? Right? So these kind of self-driven values, self-driven because you do it because you believe in it. No, it's not because you are expected to, or you are somebody's watching, or somebody's going to say you are a good person if you do this. So this kind of self-driven values, which actually help us do good things in life, and you may not, like I loved it when I saw this in your website. You may not make you an Einstein, may not make you the top scorer in the board, but this makes you a good human being. And that is what is most important, that in today's world, we need to be a good human being. We all say, oh, yeah, be good human being. What is good human being? What are the values of a good human being? What does a good human being think? So in a very simplistic way, I would say that a good human being is somebody who's not just concerned about himself or herself, but is concerned about everybody around, the humanity, having the compassion, having love, having kindness, having empathy, right? It's not just about making money. It's not about getting those jobs. It's about caring, helping, being useful, being productive, so that you also contribute to the creation of a society which is harmonious, which is inclusive, right? Where everybody is part of it. So on one side, we talk about this self-regulation. And then on the other side, we also look at inclusion. Your topic is, I just love it. You have holistic education, you have inclusive education, and multidisciplinary learning. Life is not just about one subject or one domain. It's not just about political science. It's not just about history, or it's not just about mathematics. There are no silos in life. When you go out into the world, you find everything's all together. But we are creating children in silos. We are training our children in silos in school. We say, okay, it's time for social studies. It's time for English. It's time for mathematics. It's time for sports. And so the children also see things in compartments. But that's not how we are prepared, how we should be preparing them for life, right? So when we can break down those silos and say everything needs to be looked at in a holistic way, you are talking about not just one subject or the other. You are preparing children for life. You are looking at what happens in life. It's transdisciplinary, it's beyond disciplines, because everything is so interconnected, right? And so this is the kind of education that we would like to have. This is the kind of school system that we would like to have, inclusive, where every child can fit in. Every child can become the best he or she can be. Every child has the opportunities to raise his bar and become better. It's not about getting 90% or 100%. It's about, even if I'm a 40%er, if I try and make it to 42%, 45%, 47%, I'm raising my bar. And that's what we need to encourage. And where you do have high achievers who will do better and better and better, but there are not so high achievers. There are average students. There are children who are not, who cannot do that, or who are not able to do that. If they can still do try their best to improve to raise their own personal bar. That would be the kind of holistic education that we would encourage, that we would practice, that we would actually look forward to, which I think is happening in Craft World School. That's what's really excited me about it. And actually, I'm looking forward to visiting you whenever I come down to Ernakulam. But that's one thing. So when we talk about holistic, inclusive, and transdisciplinary education, the values, the real values, the core values of humanity, that will happen by itself. That kind of just through osmosis, it just happens. We don't have to teach really, because when you are inclusive, you're looking after the needs of each and every child, those who are able, those who are not so able, those who have different abilities, those who have different needs. So when you are becoming sensitive human being who accepts people in their myriad of diversity, that is the real value, where you are not differentiating between one person or the other, the rich or the poor, the abled or the less abled, or people who are strong and people who are weak. So this, I think, is a beautiful, perfect topic, where if the school believes in this, the human values are, they just come, they emerge out of all the activities. You don't have to teach these values. They are just byproducts of holistic, inclusive, and transdisciplinary education. Thank you. Did I take more time?
Not at all. We would just love to hear and hear. We would just go on hearing. I would say beautifully put across. Brilliance is not the word. So many things we learned. I would say value education is term. It was just a generic term to us till now. So many learnings to happen, and then I think this 15 minutes was definitely not enough. So much to learn from you, Dr. Thapa. Thank you for that. We're talking about self-driven leadership. Very important. Being altruistic. They say that the biggest happiness, something which makes you really happy, is when you see someone smile, or when you do something good. Altruism is a way forward, for you to personally be happy. That is one thing you're saying. And a personal request from my side is that, would you please explain, or rather, add more to this cell as in, the learning cell lesson, for the parents to understand better on,
Okay.
Yes,
So
please.
this partnership between Dalai Lama's foundation and the Emory College has led to formation of a group that's worked on what is called social emotional learning, and they have developed a curriculum. It was inaugurated, or the world release actually happened in India in 2019, just before the pandemic. So what they do have is they have the curriculum. In fact, if you go on the web, you will find the entire curriculum there, and you can even enroll for teacher training, etc. And so you can practice that in your school, which has a whole lot of activities. And then, you have the text, and then you have discussion points that you can do with the children. So whether you are a parent or you're a teacher, you can actually go into that cell, social emotional learning. But this is not just the only one.
Yeah.
As I said, there has been an awareness about the importance of social emotional development. Daniel Goleman, when he wrote the book Emotional Intelligence, that was I think about 20 years ago, and since then there have been many others, like the Harvard University, the Project Zero, also talks about this social emotional learning, and they do a lot of work with the street children, as well as disadvantaged children, and they do a lot of work. And similarly, there are many, many other groups that are working on social emotional learning. So here in India, we are so competitive. We are so focused on board exams that we only focus on the curriculum, the textbook, the exams. And if that's not all, you give them tuition, and then even if you are in class 9, you are preparing for the IIT exams, or the NIT or the FITSE or whatever. I mean, we are just so driven in one way alone, and that leads to the children committing suicide. When the competition becomes too tough. You've heard of the place called Kota in Rajasthan? Yeah, Kota is this. It's a center.
The hub for entrance. You're right.
Yes, entrance exams, and so they have lots of coachings. And then children come from all over. Sometimes they even just enroll in a school for their 11th and 12th, but they're actually in Kota trying to prepare themselves for the entrance exams post school. And there, the competition is so high, the stress. I know there is some web series that has just started called Kota, but I'm actually talking about real life experience of how the students have committed suicide. The girl who was under so much pressure from parents to make it to FITGE, she didn't make it, and she couldn't face the parents. She just hung herself from the ceiling fan. So those kind of things, we are too driven for academic achievements and the career. We have to get a good job. So that is where I think it's very important for us to pause, to think of what is actually important in life. Is it the jobs, or is it the happiness? Is it that the glory of getting some whatever 5-figure salary, or is it just peace of mind? What is more important? Should we be so self-centered as to only think about ourselves, or should we be thinking about the good of humanity? So this is where I think we need to really think, pause, think, and decide what is most important.
Thank you very much. And what you said about leadership is all about leading ourselves first. That is very true. Self-discipline, and then doing the best when nobody is watching. Very, very important, right, for all of us. So thank you so much for that beautiful and brilliant talk, Dr. Thapa. Right, over to Mr. Chris Venugopal. Mr. Chris Venugopal is a founder, Lalubata, counseling psychologist, hypnotherapist, trainer, voice coach, author, and actor. He's going to speak on the topic, Unlock Your Child's True Potential. A civil engineer with a master's in applied psychology, chose to be on radio for 11 years. A clinical psychologist, voice artist, writer, actor, hypnotherapist, Mr. Chris continues his passion and the quest for knowledge through lifelong learning. He also served as an adjunct lecturer in Amity University, Dubai. In addition to teaching and hypnotherapy, Chris Venugopal writes for international online magazines and has to his credit about 37 books in varied subjects, ranging from spirituality to fiction in English, Malayalam, Hindi, and Tamil. With his professional training in transaction analysis and wide experience, Mr. Chris has been helping the student fraternity to rise and excel. He currently resides in Thiruvananthapuram, where he is pursuing his law studies. Over to Mr. Chris Venugopal.
Thank you very much, Bindu. I take this opportunity.
You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bindu. I take this opportunity to thank Saroj ma'am for the words of wisdom. I thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity that I can be here. And I take the title of this session as My Life, because inclusive, holistic, and the transdisciplinary education. In my case, when I was about 9 years old, I was introduced to the world of colors, and I became an artist. My first painting exhibition was when I was 9 years old. That was unlocking my potential, because I was creating a lot of issue at home. So they sent me to an art school, and I started unlocking myself because no one was there to stop me. Then moving on, during my 7th standard, one of my teachers, Thomas Joseph Sir, he introduced me to a subject which was very new to me, which was psychology. And that 7th standard boy kept it till late in his life when I pursued my master's in applied psychology. Like every mother, father, my parents too, with their wish to take me towards a big salary and a good life, they wanted me to be in engineering, whereas I wanted to be a pilot officer. I cleared my NDA and they said no. And finally, I ended up being a first-class degree holder in civil engineering. So again, pursuing that studies, I wanted to be something more. So I became a chartered environmentalist by pursuing my postgrad diploma in environmental protection management. But that was not enough. My passion was driven back to media as I was introduced to dance and all that. So television, radio, all that became my passion for many years, about 13, 14 years. I continue to be in media. Even today, I train people in voice so that they can use their voice for a better world, and they get the happiness from doing something a little more. That was a time when I saw that during my radio days, I found many people have problems with themselves, with their friends, with their children. That shook me badly, and I took up doing my master's in psychology, emotional intelligence, then NLP. I specialized in hypnotherapy. And I would like to start that 2 minutes of introduction. I'd like to start with one important factor which I faced during my counseling days. Even today, I find that shocking. A mother comes to me with her daughter and says, my daughter says she doesn't want to study. She wants to pursue basketball. And she's worried and she's all that anxious, and it is very difficult to calm her down. The child was very calm, the mother was very anxious. The fact remains that her shouting at home to study, do this, do that, not understanding what the child really wants was the issue. The child wanted to be free, where she was forced to do a lot of stuff. And she said, no, that rebellion can arise in a child's mind at a very early age if you try forcing that. Another parent, a father, comes to me and says, my daughter doesn't read books. I want her to read books and get knowledge. And I asked him, how many books do you read? He said, I don't. I said, sorry, I cannot help you. If you are not an example to your child, then you're doing the gravest mistake. What you are doing, your children will do. If you hide the mobile and watch it secretly, your children will learn to do that. They will watch the mobile secretly. If you sit with them and start reading, in a few days' time, they will understand you're setting a role model, and somehow they will start reading. Give them the right kind of reading and they will find a new world. These are just cases, but understanding the fact that every child is unique is the most important thing. Every child need not sing, every child need not dance, every child need not be an instrument, playing the instrument, or every child need not be a sports person. They need not be a chess player. Don't compare your child with the child in the next house, saying that he's doing that, so why don't you? Someday, I wish kids have voice to tell you that mama or dada or papa, whatever they call you, they should come and tell you, I am unique and I have my choices. There comes the inclusive education. There comes the idea of choosing what they want to study, and that will make the child different, where he can be confident enough to say that I want to learn this. Now, the multidisciplinary education which I was exposed to, that was my choice. But I had to wait till I started working or started my life. And in between work, I had to study. Imagine the potential of your child if you allow the person or you allow the child to choose, learn whatever he likes. The world would reckon with your child, and that would be the moment of pride, not when he earns a 6-figure or 7-figure salary. When the world looks up to him, there is a word in Tirukkural which says, I'll translate to English, the moment when the child is born, the happiness he gets, that is lessened when famous people or big people say that your child is good. That is the idea of education you should be giving your child, that he needs to grow up as a good human being, as rightly said by Dr. Sarosh Thapa. Coming to another aspect where the uniqueness, we always look at our child, compare in public, we have bad words for them, we have the filthiest of languages for them. Sorry for being very, I would say, brash. Sorry for being that, because we tell before many people that he's a good for nothing, he's not studying properly, or he has got low grades. Why do you have to do that? You're spoiling your child's future. You're writing it on his head that, yeah, he has a problem. Can you appreciate in public and reprimand in private? Can you give him that choice? If you look at the learning process, if you look at all the material what is available on the net, you would find that the child has to identify, rectify, and then let them fly. That should be the process. You identify what the child needs to learn, then rectify if he has mistakes, not rectify as per your demands, and then let them fly. We are all born with wings, and slowly we are cut down to a level where we hardly can walk by the load of comparison, the load of comments, and the load of the kind of guilt that they are not good enough to be compared to the child next door. The child next door is not what you have in your home. You should understand that. The uniqueness of a child can be really understood. If you look at Stephen Hawking, or if you look at the famous story, which I'll tell you in a while, if Stephen Hawking's parents did not identify, or if they did not know his abilities, we wouldn't have had a person like him. We would be still wondering what happens in the astrospace, because the way he put things forward was so different. There is not a story, it's history. It's a written history. A small girl called Wilma Rudolph, at the age of 4, she had meningitis, the brain fever, and she was paralyzed. At that moment, the parents did not cut her wings. Instead, she said, I want to be a runner, but the doctor said she will never walk. She went to the school where her sister was being trained and told the coach that I want to be a runner. Looking at her condition on a wheelchair, he did not say no. The coach said, yes, you can be. And that confidence that coach and the parents put in her, she started walking, running, and she became the fastest woman in the world. Believe it or not, her record was not broken for 30 years before Jackie Joyner Kersey came and broke her record. Wilma Rudolph became the fastest woman in the world. Your child, whatever less, whatever more, that doesn't count. Does she have, or does he have, that passion in his or her heart? And can you ignite that passion? They have the fire. Can you give that fuel? You are the people who are going to determine where they are going. If you can fuel that fire, then nothing can stop them. Give them that confidence that they can do it. Don't make them feel that you are stupid. A classic case, which I really want to relate, it's one of my technical papers also is on that, is about what happens at night. Usually, the Indian tradition is to put a baby to sleep by singing a lullaby. The lullaby would actually talk about how the child would be a king, how he would be prosperous, how he would be good. And it's a kind of chance while going to sleep, the child listens to this and he believes in that, and that value which goes inside him, that he would be a great king, he would be a great person, he would be a good human, he would be like the best of flowers or birds or butterflies, whatever, that is imprinted on the child's head and he grows to be that. These days, the corporate world, the mama, she's working, the dada, he's working, night 8 p.m., dinner time. After that, there is going to be a whole lot of commotion inside the house saying that the day you were born, from that day, I'm not able to go to my office on time. You are the reason. You become the problem. You made this. You did that. You are imprinting that in the child's head. Believe me, you are creating rebels for the world. You are creating problems for yourself. You are creating problems for the society. And you are creating the annihilation process. You have started off the annihilation process by not letting the child understand his potential. We were talking about the potential on different levels, but do you understand? A kind word from you, if the child has a failure, if the child is not able to do what another child is able to do, if you can hold him and say, I really understand you, I am there with you, and your child will bloom to be the best person in the world. Can you just hold his hand and tell him, or can you just hold her hands and tell her that you really are important to me? Do you dare to say that? But these days, everyone is worried about their own jobs. The kids are left to someone who doesn't even know what that child needs to be. And what happens? The nighttime commotion that is imprinted by hypnosis, and that process, what he's developing. I've had cases, sadly, cases of ADHD, perversion, many kinds of issues with kids who come, the parents come and cry to me, but I cannot help them because they have made it happen. Because already the damage is done. So understand, the main unlocking potential, the key is with you. The child was born to you, you have the key. Unlocking the potential is just opening your heart. First, open your heart, then try to open the child's heart, because it's very tender. Make sure your heart has the best of ideas, the best of ideals, the best of passion for that child. And not to be imposed. Open that heart and see there is going to be something. Identify what he has in his heart. Listen to him. There has been scientific studies which prove that at the age of 3, the child learns the maximum. The neurons, the synapses, if you look at the neuroscience, if you learn, then you will understand the best of the learning happens between the age of 3 and 6. And I strongly believe we are just overgrown 6-year-olds. I believe we are overgrown 6-year-olds because whatever happens till 6 years is what you carry forward in your life. So if you're doing whatever you're doing between the age of 3 and 6 to your child, that determines what he or she is going to be. Whatever you're saying, let there be any kind of problems. Like if you're making a dish, maybe the salt is less, maybe the sugar is more, whatever. Do you stop eating in life? Do you keep saying every day that that day the sugar was less or that day the salt was less? You don't. But why do you do that to your child? Once a failure, you keep telling that that day you failed, that day you failed. Why are you imprinting that failure onto the child's head? More than unlocking the potential, I would like to tell you, unlock your heart, open that love to your child, hold him, give him a hug, and tell him that you are important. Give him that love, attend to him, listen to him. Maybe he has a more viable solution to your problem. Don't try to impose your ideas onto a child who is so blessed that he is the potential for the world to see the best of the best. Don't use the key to lock his heart, lock his head, and tell them that no, you are a failure. As a parent, it's my request. The last 40 seconds, I would like to quote a particular verse from the 102nd surah of Quran. It says, Al-Hakumu Takasur, Hatta Surtum al-Maqabir. In the world of competition, how long will you talk about it? Only till you go to the grave. So please forget that. We are all moving towards the grave, we understand that. But if and only you decide, your child can be the best in the world, and that is for you to decide. Unlock the potential with a key in your hand and have a smile. Thank you. That's my 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Ms. Mridula, what do you think? We should have more sessions of this sort with Dr. Thapa and Mr. Chris more often. I think you would be the best person to comment on this, Ms. Mridula. Yeah.
Definitely. I have been so immersed in the talk that I have been switching my roles from mother, teacher, principal, and I have been each and every phase of Craft World School, the kids phase I've been going through my mind. And I just feel like this is such an enlightening session. And because of the weather, I'm getting a lot of messages that they are not able to log in. They are having network issues, and I guess. So the recording of decision to record the session was the apt one. And just the 15 minutes wisdom that you have given to us is going to open our heart and our minds and all the senses. Thank you so much, Saroj ma'am and Chris sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, Bindu ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Midula. A couple of things which I thought that I love to basically summarize is that the first thing is that it is us, it is the parents and not the children, unfortunately. So definitely an introspection, right? And then you were saying about when the wings basically overweighs, what will happen. I don't know how many times have we realized this, or rather analyzed this, and then appreciate in public and punish in private. That is, I was just wondering if these sort of sessions. I think this is a must for to be parents. Right. So once I go through this, I think because now I have a thought in my mind that if only I have another chance, right? So likewise, I don't know how many parents would think that, we would have, done it in a better way. So those things. So, and you were saying about the role model, setting an example and all these things. Identify, rectify, fly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'd like to add one thing. If you look at a child's dream, when we were all children, the first thing when we see an aeroplane, we want to be a pilot. Then slowly we realize that that is a little too hard. Then we want to become lorry drivers. Then we look at the train, then we say engine driver. After that, you say, I want to be IAS officer, I want to be IPS, or there's your very lofty stuff. Then you understand you have to study a lot. That pressure brings it down. They say, I'm okay with engineering or medicine. Then they say medicine and engineering is difficult. Then they say, okay, commerce is fine. I'll work in a bank. I'll work as a bank manager. This is what is happening. You're letting your dreams come down.
There is a shrinkage. There is a shrinkage.
We
right?
have done that.
Yeah.
We are doing that.
Yeah.
So it is better late than never. At least even now, you don't need to have another child. Even now, just understand your mistake. And if you tell your child that, yeah, there has been a problem with my side, come, let's solve it together. That can solve the issue. So many cases when adults come to me, I understand that there's a parenting issue. Nothing can be done about it. But yes, the rectifying moment starts when they realize that, yes, it is. And that realization can really change the world. The mind is so very pliable. It's so flexible that you can change it. Yes.
Thank you for those wonderful insights, I would say. Right. Now it's time for question and answer. There are a couple of questions from parents. The first question is from Ms. Sharon De Silva. Sharon is a teacher. Sharon, you can post your question to Dr. Thapa, please.
Yeah. My question is to Dr. Saroj Thapa. Ma'am, the times are changing and so are the values. So how to evaluate value education according to the changing times?
Dr. Thapa, you're on mute.
Thank you. How to evaluate changing values in changing times? I think there are certain universal values that are timeless. Something like compassion, love, empathy, happiness, doing good to the others, being useful to the others, making others happy, so that also, like Bindu said, that makes you happy. These are timeless. So changing times don't really impact those. They are universal, they are timeless, they are applicable at any time. But what we really need to do is not chase or run after these material, goals, because I'm sure Chris would agree, what makes you happy isn't really the material things. You will get it and then tomorrow you'll be unhappy again. So what makes you really happy is finding that true happiness, which comes from making others happy. And so these values are eternal. Is that okay? Do you have a rejoinder?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next question is from parent Mahalakshmi. Ms. Mahalakshmi, your question is to Mr. Chris, right?
Yes, Ms. Bindu.
Yes,
Thank you
please.
so much.
Yeah.
A very good evening, Dr. Thapa, and very good evening, Chris, sir. My question is all about unlocking children's potential. As being a parent, I'm more curious on that side. And sir, like recent studies and also said that 98% of children by the age of 6, most of they're highly creative at the age of 6. And as they grow older, that it just comes down. By 10, when they reaches 10, it becomes 30. And according to the study of NASA, by when they attain puberty, it almost reduces down to 15%. So being a parent, for us, like, how do we find the hidden talent of a child? Because, please.
The first thing what we find is always we have complaints or we have heard about kids drawing on the walls. So why do they draw on the walls? Because they have that creativity. They want a space, which means you have not given the space enough. You have not directed that creativity. You can see that maybe they are wanting your attention. Maybe they are doing it for that. So attend to your child. You can understand what all interests them. Be with them and spend that time with them so that you can understand what they really like. That is the first process of the inclusive education, or maybe holistic education. We can say that the first is the identifying what they like. It is not that a person does not like to sing, but still you're sent to a singing class. A person does not like to draw, but he has to go to a painting class because your cousin's daughter or cousin's son is doing that. Or the person has to dance because I, as a child, could not dance, now you should dance. No. Understand that the child is unique. Take it, give the person options and show them these are things what they are available. Now, once looking at the available options, the child would naturally choose what he really likes and he would discard if he doesn't like it later on. So that choice, that trial and error process has to go on till the teens. And by the time they reach the teens, they would have identified. I know one of my friends, he was locked in the house because he did not get a first rank. For 2 days, was not given food. If that's the kind of parents we are going to have, probably we'll have a very sad world. The happiness, make your child happy, see him smile more, give him what he really likes. I know the resources are costly, but even you can make that aware, saying that yes, this is costly, but yes, we can do it, we can find a way out. Always try using your creativity. Why look at the child's creativity? Look at your creativity, how you can provide that to your child. Things will naturally fall into place and you will identify that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Mahalakshmi. Yeah. Next, I have a question from Mr. Anish Joseph to Dr. Thapa.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am. It was so good to be in part of this session. I'm so enlightened and really thrilled to be a part of this. My question is to Ms. Dr. Thapa. It's not only a question, it's also a concern. That is, ma'am, regarding the values, human values like economical value, psychological value, and moral value, obviously liberation. How are these human values is going to evolve and in future, and how we should prepare our students or kids about these values?
Society evolves, right? We all evolve with time. So for instance, say something like sexual orientation, if you were 50 years ago, if you talked about having a different sexual orientation, people would totally ostracize you. Today, we have learned to accept and respect people's personal choices, right? So there is a shift. So if you're talking about values in a society, there are certain things which have changed, but what actually hasn't changed is respect for the other person's choice. If we had, that is the basic value that existed before and is still the same, but outwardly there are lots of things that have changed. Now, for instance, there was a time when somebody taking any money which belonged to somebody else was considered totally immoral, wrong, and this was a bad thing to do, right? Now, in this world today, it's happening. So now it's not, we don't really judge people whether they're bad or good. It's the matter of degrees. If they are doing it in your large sums of money and impacting a large number of people, we raise our eyebrows. But if it is small things like, something like income tax, everybody trying to cut corners, etc., we are all trying to do this. And so it is like, what Chris talked about, being a role model. And so when you have a parent who tells his son, go tell the person at the door, I'm not here, what are you saying, right? So this is the kind of conflicts that we are proposing in front of our children. So that's where we see a shift, a change, that we have started to take a lot of things for granted. This is all right. It's not bad. I'm just doing a little bit, So if you want to be really true to the values that have been eternal, like I said earlier, there are certain values which do not change. But if we start twisting it, if we start giving leeways, a little bit here and a little bit there, that's where we are playing with it. We are trying to tamper with what is right and what is not right. But these are so personal. These are personal choices. And so that's where I started off by saying that we need to respect people's personal choices. Difficult, because if you can take a stand, a moral stand, and say this is right, this is wrong, all right, but we can become like an evangelist and say, we can stand at a pulpit and say, this is what you're doing is wrong. It has become nowadays, the value system has become a little more flexible, so to say. Yeah. So you can decide, this is how I want to live my life. This is what my standards are going to be. And this is how I want my children to also be and learn from me. I think you can decide for yourself. So personal choice is a very important matter.
Thank you, Dr. Thapa. Thank you, Mr. Anish Joseph. Yeah. Now, I think the next question is from, is it Ms. Shini Sanith? Am I saying it right? To Mr. Chris Venugopal. Yeah.
Hello.
Shiny, yeah, Sanith.
Yeah, this is Suresh. And first of all, real big thanks to Dr. Thapa and Chris for giving the wonderful session about that. And also, it was really an eye-opener in some sort. Though, we know a little bit about certain things as day-to-day life covers, we will forget the things and we will keep moving with the as usual life. But once in a while, getting this kind of ideas, which is really wonderful. So coming to my question, again, we are all in the platform for unlocking the potential of our kids. So the question is related with what will be the, potential methods to, the real methods for unlocking potential of the brain, as well as, for example, by some kind of practices, games, something which we can do within the home along with teachers. So, and with the kids. So can you just give us an elaborate, maybe idea about those kind of things?
So that I would really stress on one question, which I want you all to think about. Are you raising an animal or a child? If you're raising an animal, then you're a trainer. You have to train that animal to be whatever it has to do, like an elephant cycling or a bear on a bike, all those things in a circus, you see that, yes. But a child is a human. Can you just be understanding enough that the child also has a view? Can you listen to that? Before any game, before anything, start listening to your child. Maybe if the child is trying to tell you that it is painful for me, can you explain that that pain can lead to a gain? Or can you show that I have done that and you can do it too? Can you give that confidence? If you can do that, then you're no longer a trainer, then you become a parent. I want you to be a parent, not an animal trainer who trains, okay, this time you should do this time you should do that. If you're sleeping till 10 and want your child to wake up at 5, sorry, it won't happen. So the first thing is how your child should be living. You should be the example. If you want to play the game, yes, be a part of the game. Don't give him a video game and say that, okay, sit and play, this is your game time. Can you be with that child and play with him? Can you be with that child, this is your reading time, come, let's read. Or can you read it out to him, make it interesting so that he likes to read more? Or he comes to you next day and says, it's reading time, read for me. Now, that kind of an inquisitive moment comes in a child's life. Don't ignore that. Be there for your child. That is the best game you can play. Live your life with your child. That's the best game you can play. Other tactics, methods, all testing techniques, you have hundreds of companies taking lakhs of rupees trying to find out whether your child will become an engineer or a doctor after 10 years when he's about 2 or 3. Why do you want to do that? Let him live. Be with him and live with him. And yes, he will become an engineer, doctor, or whatever. And if he follows his passion, naturally, he would make money without working, enjoying what he's doing. He would be a professional in what he's passionate about. There were days when we never heard of any new fields of study. Today, we are hearing a lot of fields of study. And children, they have to be given the choice what they want to learn. If you actually want a monkey to swim and a fish to climb a tree, sorry, it won't happen. Because they want their choices to be given to them, like you want your choices to be given to you. In an office, if somebody is doing something wrong to you, would you just remain silent like your child and say that, okay, whatever he's saying is right? I don't think so. You would have some way to release it. Probably on your way back home, you would be shouting at 5 others who are driving. That would be your response. But the child does not even have the choice because he's inside the house and you're always on that child and not letting him express. Express your love. Let the child express its love. Express your passion and let the child learn from you. The child will become what you're passionate about once you're in sync with the child's heart. So the best game you can play is live your life with your child. Give him time. Give him time to be with you and understand what you are thinking. Take your time and try to understand what the child is thinking. The unlocking potential starts from you, as I said. So once you start unlocking, the child automatically knows how to unlock that potential inside him. Can we boldly say that we are living to our full potential? Have we unlocked ourselves? But we are trying to unlock without opening the lock in our heart. So I want first you to find out what you're passionate about, open your heart, then unleash, and the child will naturally follow that. Why do we see that very passionate doctors have their children naturally opt for medicine without them being asked? Because they are seeing that passion. The role models are said so. Why do we have an actor's son naturally coming to acting? Or maybe a son of an actor says that, no, I don't want to be in the cine world. That's okay. Well, as long as you identify, if you force that child to be on screen, he would be doing the lousiest of jobs, in spite of being the best actor's son. So it is only the child's passion you have to understand. Be with him, express your love, hold his hands and tell him that, yes, whichever way you want to go, I am there to lead you. In the Hindu system, we say Mata, Pita, Guru, Deva. Everyone says it is a strata. The mother is on the top, then you have the father, then you have the Guru, then you have the God. So it is not, please, I want you to identify that it is not a process of a strata being given in the society that the mother is on the top. It is actually only a mother can say who the father is. Only the father can lead the child to a right guru. And only a right guru can lead him to God. So whatever the spirituality or religion let it be, but take the lesson that the truth follows in that line. So if you're taking, understanding your child's potential, taking it to the right guru, naturally he will find God or happiness, whatever we call it. Happiness is what we call God. So I really feel that to unlock the potential, first you unlock and follow the path of your child and walk with him. Hold the hand for a while, and then he will start walking alone.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris, for the wonderful input. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to relate that advertisement, no? Oreo advertisement, where the child goes with the envelope and they tries to get dad's time, and then the play time. I think that is what is going around, and as parents, we need to change. Now there are a couple of questions. I think most of it, Dr. Thapa, you've already answered. The first one is that, is it education that we value or the credential? You've already covered or touch base on the topic. And then there is the next one is that the obsession of selectivity, as they grow, students are led to fewer striving, the grades, test scores, and all these things. What role does value education play to change this attitude? You've almost covered, but anything to add on to this?
Yeah, I think Chris also talked about this, that the children, when they are young, they are absolutely brilliant, but then, and I think it was Mahalakshmi's question also, as the children grow older, we mold them in our way of thinking, and their own creativity becomes less and less, and these children, brilliant children, also start hankering after what we think is important, what we have trained them to believe that that's what is valuable. So the grades, the jobs, etc., and the material wealth is what then the kids start going after, because that's what we keep drilling down there, their mind, that this is what they need to do. So I think, again, going back to the basic value system, the universal value system, the eternal value system of compassion, love, interconnectedness of all sentient beings, when we believe in that, I think I'm not saying people should not aspire for big jobs or high positions and all that. Let them do what they want to do. They want to make money, let them do that. But let them not be selfish. Let them not be greedy. Let them not only look at their own self-interest, but if they can keep that, the interest of everybody, if so long as they can keep that, it's like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? Everybody is family. We are connected. So if we can do that, I think we'll be fine. But when we get too narrowly focused into our self-interest, I think that's where we go into tricky grounds.
I think Chris wanted to leave. I think at 8 o'clock he had another meeting, I guess, so he has left. So now, Dr. Thapa, I have one last question. Actor Rajinikanth, he dedicates his Dada Saheb Phalke Award to his elder brother and to his friends, right, who identified his acting skill when he used to be a bus conductor. Right, that is when it all started. Do we need someone to basically identify our true potential? Why is it, it's not known to us when we grow up or during our childhood or whatever it is?
Well, there are different aspects to it. I mean, we do talk about the role of mentors, the role of teachers, the role of guides who actually help us unlock our potential and realize our true self and self-worth, etc. But even if you don't find that kind of person, just, I think, good parenting, good environment in the school, this is enough to give children confidence to think of themselves as worthy individuals, and then they will go on to find their own self-worth. I don't think it's necessary. It happens to some people, which is great. But even if it doesn't, I mean, in a regular situation where there is a nurturing environment at home and at school, I think the children would find their potential.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. There is a person who's very silently sitting here, who has been spearheading the whole event, who has helped us, who has helped me, who has helped Ms. Midula in coming up with this event and then giving guidance and all these things. Advocate Sia Majid, sir, your thoughts on this session, sir.
It is so wonderful in the evening. Very great that the Craftwell family, the main panelists, Dr. Thapa and Chris, accepted our vision and that inclusive study, and our vision is to unlock the superpowers of the child. We are very happy and proud that the concept is accepted and the concept is well placed, and we are socially committed to do all these things on the basis of the future of the children. We are very much interested in the future of the children, and nowadays it is very necessary, and we are very happy that everybody from the side, the Craftwell family and the people who knows everything about Craftwell School and its ideas and its thank you for the panelists, Dr. Thapa and Chris Venugopal, for the kind words, and all the parents and the others who have participated in the webinar this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Ms. Sarika Cyril, teacher at Craftwell School, to deliver the word of thanks, please.
Thank you, Bidwan. Good evening to all. On behalf of Craftwell School team, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. We are so grateful to our distinguished guest speakers, Dr. Saroj Thapa and Mr. Chris Venugopal, for not only sparing their invaluable time for us, but also for enlightening us with their commendable talk on the subject. Thank all of you for clearing our concepts and enhancing our understanding pertaining to the holistic, inclusive, and multidisciplinary learning by addressing the emotional, social, ethical, and academic needs of the students in an integrated learning format, and also making this webinar thoughtful. I owe special gratitude to our parents for extending your cooperation and making this webinar a resounding success. Next, I thank our management trustee, Advocate C.A. Majid sir, and Principal Mridula Praveen for their unstinted support and leadership. Special thanks to Ms. Bindu Menon for your excellent job in moderating today's webinar. Last but not the least, let me thank our teaching and non-teaching staff for participating in this webinar. Thank you all present here. Good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us today. It has been a wonderful learning experience, I would say. Have a wonderful week ahead, and thank you very much. We are blessed, Dr. Thapa, to have you with us today. Thank you. Thank you, parents. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, everyone.